He could have just did it without saying he gonna do it. This video is brought to you by the Officer Tatum Store. The Officer Tatum Store. Get the merch link in the description section. You want a discount on the store? Text Tatum to 53445. Text Tatum to 53445. We will be sending out a discount code soon for this weekend, so you can get your cool merch. Like and subscribe to the channel. Download the podcast, the B Tatum Show podcast, and all podcasting platforms. Y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this, ladies and gentlemen, and ladies. Let's talk about Joe Biden's pick for Supreme Court Justice, the Honorable. I think she was a federal judge, a federal appeals judge by the name of Ketanji Brown Jackson. I did a little bit of research, read a couple articles about her. Seems like she's incredibly qualified and is probably a great person. She was unanimously, I would say unanimously, in a bipartisan manner, she was elected to the position in the appeals court, federal appeals court. I don't know how long ago it was, but it was when she obviously got into the court. She was elected there. She seems to be very qualified. I can't say that enough. In this Fox News article, they go down and speak about how she's more qualified, or she have more prior judicial experience than Thomas, Roberts, Kagan, and Amy Coney Barrett combined. So she seems to be very qualified. She seems to be a qualified individual. They also go down and point out these statistics. I know it's small. I'll read it for you. That obviously Ronald Reagan pledged to nominate a woman, which I don't think this is comparable, but I will get to that in a minute. He pledged to put a first woman on the Supreme Court justice when Ruth Bader Ginsburg, when she was out. Donald Trump said that he would replace her with a woman. They gave these numbers of 178 years after the founding of this country, a non-white person was elected, which is Thurgood Marshall. And when Sandra Day O'Connor, who was an excellent example of an exemplary woman, when she was nominated to Supreme Court Justice, that was 192 years after our founding. And then 233 years after our founding, the Supreme Court Justice, the first black woman. So I have to say this, I think she may have been qualified to do this. I think that she is. But why you got to make it about race? This is what I don't understand, and this is what in my opinion, taints the reputation of Ms. Brown Jackson. Because if you just said, I'm going to select a woman or a person who's most qualified, because when you see Reagan say he's going to replace a woman, Reagan say he's going to, establish the first female or first woman, that's a biological difference. Race is a made-up construct. A man and a woman are biologically different. They're not the same. So if you say you're going to nominate a woman versus a man, there is biological, historical, noticeable differences between a male and a woman. Every time. When you talk about race, what does that mean? Because a person's skin is brown? This person may have never had the same experience as other black people in this country. Obama didn't. He was mixed. So how's he black? I mean, they just made up that he's black. He's biracial. But the race thing is what gets me. Diversity is in the diversity of thought. If you can pinpoint a biological difference, that is a diversity, in my opinion. But when you're talking about a construct that's created and made up, this woman may be the same as the white person that that's next door to you. She probably went to the same school, same level of education. She cannot identify with people in the hood. I'm just making it up. I don't know her history. That's why color means nothing. It has no borders. Because when Clarence Thomas was nominated to be in the Supreme Court, he don't count because he's a conservative. He don't count. And then when the liberal get in there, they act like it's historical. They're going to cry and spit and slob on each other on TV and act like this is just an incredible moment. I think that it's great that this woman was selected on her merits, but not on her race. All Biden had to do was say, I'm going to elect the best person to ever be created, and picked her, and he would have been fine. But when you know that he did not give her a opportunity to compete with everybody, she just had to compete with the other black people. Maybe there wasn't even a competition. They just selected her anyway without even looking at it twice. I just don't think that that's the right way to do things. The woman can be qualified on her own. She should be able to compete on her own. She should be nominated on her own merits. When you start going out and say, I'm going to pick a person because they black, to me, that's racist. Because if you come out and say you're going to pick a person because they white, what are people going to say? Now, if you just go and you say, I'm going to pick the best qualified person, and you pick a white person, nobody would even know what your motives are. But Joe Biden is telling his motives. And if a Hispanic person got in the office and said, I'm going to pick a person because they white, we need more white people on the Supreme Court justice, people would lose their minds. Why is that okay? That you could choose race to identify a Supreme Court justice when they black, but if you do it when they white, it's a problem. And I don't want to hear people say, well, it's a white man. Yeah. Yes. This country was founded by white people. Do you not think that through the lineage and the passing down of the mantle from person to person is going to probably go through white people? I don't understand how people don't understand that. They don't get that concept. White people came up with this idea, and I won't say exclusively just white people because I think they used the Lord to come up with this idea of freedom. You don't see this idea in none of these other countries. Not like you see it in the United States of America. And of course, the white man had a fresh beginning because they came up with this. They were here first. They established what we see today was established by the forefathers, which were white. How is that shocking that the first president is white? You know the Civil War, how many white people died in the Civil War on both sides? Hundreds of thousands. There was this many black people fighting. There was this many women fighting. So, of course, the succession of that is probably going to be the majority men who fought. We're going to be perceived and have the credentials and characteristics to lead the country. I'm going to go on a tangent. I better stop. If the people who fight the wars, who exemplify leadership in our country, happen to be men, and those men happen to be white, it's not shocking that they are the president of the United States of America. I think that women have limitations. Women have limitations. And people don't want to feel that way, but they have limitations. Because there's a certain age bracket where it would be controversial for a woman to be the president. Because if you're still having kids, you can't be the president. As a woman, you can't be the president if you still can have kids or you plan on having kids. Why is that, Mr. Tatum? At some point, you got to give birth. You can't be up in the hospital with your leg on the table. No. A president can't take a day off unless you're dead. Women need time to recover after they've given birth. You can't just be out of commission. And to be honest, the president of the United States got to be willing to take up arms and do his thing. You can't be out of commission. Then there's a thing called menopause. Women having heat flashes, and every month women have this thing that makes uncontrollable emotions. Not every woman, but a lot of women that I know, they have these uncontrollable cramps and emotional for no reason, have no idea why they're emotional. Oh, it's because they started the thing. What sense does that? Why are we trying to force a square into an oval? For what? Now, if you're qualified, you're qualified. But there's certain things that I just believe that women, why are y'all trying to do that? Because you want to be equal with men, or because you want to, like, what are you trying to do here? I just think there's, if you pass that and you ain't got you're not affected by these things, you pass the age of having children, you pass the age of you're not affected by menopause and all this other stuff. If you are that woman, then yeah, you may be eligible. But I don't want the commander in chief. I'm just saying. Some of y'all gonna be in your feelings, but I'm just saying. When I'm on the battlefield, this is one thing I don't understand. If we really had to be in the trenches and fighting the war, I want the best, most qualified, most gangster fighter next to me. I don't care what gender you are. And if you add up the most qualified and gangster, they're men. They're men. You know, women may somehow be that time of month for them and they on the battlefield. What they gonna do? What they gonna do about it? Okay. Anyway, I think that she is potentially deserving of this, but her reputation may be tainted because people are going to see her as an affirmative action hire. And if she don't do a credible job, that's all she's going to be, is an affirmative action hire. So I'm hoping that she do well. I'm hoping that she does well. Maybe, you know, it's not like she's going to be hard pressed to see what she does because she's a liberal replacing a liberal or a leftist replacing a leftist. It ain't like we're going to see the effects of the difference between a Republican and Democrat. It's a Democrat replacing another Democrat. So it's not going to be much there, but we can't go down this path. It leads to confusion and stupidity because next is going to be the next LGBTQ Supreme Court justice, next trans Supreme Court justice. You know, it's going to go down this list and it's going to be less about qualifications. It's going to be more about who is the first. And I don't think that's the way our country should operate. Our country should operate on nominating the best qualified person. And this woman could possibly be that. We would never know that because he just decided he's going to pick a black woman. She could be competitive on her own right. But Biden tainted it, and everybody think it's okay. We'll see. I love you guys. Comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think about it. I'm out of here.